Hello, everybody. This is episode 42 of the Keep It Rollin podcast. I'm Kyle Perkins. I'm here with Joey Diehl.
Hello.
And Luke Nicholson.
Hi, everyone.
Awesome.
So you're done. You're done messing up people's names.
Now, well, if I don't know them, I feel rude messing up their names.
But that would be the only time it makes sense.
I think it's even better if I know them. But no.
Just so you know, Kyle almost always says people's names wrong. So it was shocking to me that you wanted to get it right.
I gotta get it right if I don't know
you.
you.
Just said it, and then it would have been,
yeah, I'm
correct.
genuine.
Yeah, that's fair. That's funny.
What's up, buddy?
Not too much. Thanks for having me here today.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time yesterday to.
Yeah, well, let's explain to people what happened yesterday for you. You did your purple belt test. You accomplished your goal of getting your purple belt. How long you been training? Do you remember?
Yeah, so I started when I think I was 19 because you're 33.
33.
So I think I was 19 and you were 17 or something like that over at Team Curran.
So that means you're an old man. You're 30.
I'm 35.
Oh.
I think that'd be when I started. That's 2009. That's when I started.
Yeah. He says he remembers you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Main difference is you guys stuck with it, consistently.
Hey man, you still did. You're still.
I mean, you stuck with getting a wife and kids. So
yeah. And we'll also say, is it okay to call you doctor?
Yeah.
Or is it weird?
That's how my wife has me in her phone. Dr. Luke.
Dr. Luke.
People, students say Nicholson is too long. I guess it's too many syllables. So
Dr. Luke sounds cool.
Dr. Luke. I like that.
They'll just call me Dr. Luke. I'm kind of weird, like with my college students. Because I think there has to be like that level of respect there. I never say to my students like if someone,
call me doctor.
Yeah, I never do that. I'm not that much of a jerk. But if a student's like, hey Luke, can you help me with my homework? I'm like.
Feels too
can you at least just say like Professor Nicholson? You don't have to say doctor, but that's just me. I guess that's just because maybe I got my doctorate in 21, so it still feels kind of new.
Okay.
And you worked, really hard at it. So
it's a title, man.
And I don't want my college students to view me as like their buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's important.
There has to be that degree of separation there. So, but anyway.
What do you teach?
Bro? What's up, Luke?
What do you teach?
Accounting.
Oh, very cool.
So he's a professor of accounting.
Oh, yeah. I love it.
So I got my undergrad in accounting with a minor in business, and then my MBA, and then worked in accounting for 10 years. And then in January of 2016, I started as an adjunct professor, which just means that you're a part-time professor at whatever school. You're teaching one class a semester, two classes a semester. And the first night, it was like a 2-hour and 50-minute class. That was my first class that I taught.
Mm-hmm.
And I came home and I was apparently on cloud 9 because my wife goes, how did it go? And I had this glow on my face and she's like, you look really happy. I'm like, that was amazing. That's what I feel like I was called to do.
Wow.
And unfortunately for me at that time, I was 25 years old. So I asked, what do I need to do to make this a full-time job to my boss at the time? And she's like, well, you only have 3 years of experience in the field. You don't have a terminal degree, a PhD, or a doctorate. You don't have your CPA. So I said, okay, well, what would you recommend that I do? And she's like, you need to get your PhD or your doctorate. And I was like, dang it. Like when I finished my MBA, I thought I was done with school. And when I was in high school, I laughed at people that were like, didn't laugh at them, but like, doctors, 10
years at school.
10 years, forget that. And here I am, 9 years of
4 years of high school is already rough.
9 years of college and 226 credit hours.
That'll always make me think of Tommy Boy, where he goes like, a lot of people go to school for
9 years. They're called doctors.
They're called doctors.
Yep. We have one of my cousins. His name is Jeff. Took him 7 years to get his history degree. I'm like,
oh wow,
way to go.
That sounds awesome. That man was having fun.
That man was learning a lot. Yeah.
But yeah. So started the current job that I'm in, and last school year was my first full time.
Oh, cool. So you're still brand new to it, huh?
Yeah, full time.
Full time.
Right. Yeah, and it's awesome. It's a really awesome experience because I get to teach with other professors who are a lot smarter than me. I have been in the field or academia for 20, 30 years.
Wow.
And to be able to teach alongside of some of those people and kind of see how receptive students are to me versus them is pretty neat. Because not to toot my own horn, but it's very similar to you guys and Joey. I've known you for a long time. How do you get people in the door? How do you get people to want to take your your classes, right? Very similar to me teaching classes. People have to like you, right? And a lot of it's based on referrals. And I do my best. I mean, you're teaching accounting. That is a brutal.
Sounds dry.
Yeah.
That is a brutal subject to try to make fun.
Yeah.
But I make it a point to, like, when I'm teaching, it's almost like an act. It's almost like a
Performance. Yeah.
performance.
Yeah.
That's better. That's a better word.
Well, no, it
almost
is like an act is a great way to say it too, because there's like, think of like a play, like there is a performance to it. So like it's an act that you want to, you're trying to get some buy-in with people, and you get them to buy in by being entertained and enjoy. Like, I am excited to go to class, kind of thing.
Yeah. You see all those videos of that like physics professor who does, like, he's showing these guys all these crazy experiments and
You
like
love that,
spinning
right?
stuff. I mean, it's just like you realize
Makes it way better than just reading a piece of paper.
They don't even realize they're learning. They go to the class and they just see this really cool thing and remember it, and then they learn something with enjoying it. That's a really awesome tool to have.
Well, I would like to talk more about that too, but before we do that, let's kind of make sure that we express this. So you yesterday you came in. Let's go to the story a little bit about we'll kind of put a pin in the idea of what happened. So you've been in St. Louis training jiu-jitsu. You haven't trained in a while, right? You got back into it because I think you gave me a phone call. It was like sometime last year, I think.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
I thought I remember you bringing this up as an idea. A while
so
ago.
you called me up. This is my memory of it. I think you called me up just kind of randomly, like, "Hey, man, how you doing?"
Yeah.
And, and you were telling me you got back into jiu-jitsu, and you've been a blue belt now for
too long,
for like 10 years.
Yeah, I think I was 20, or I had just turned 21 when I got my
crazy,
blue
right?
belt,
So about 14, 15 years.
Wow.
So like feeling like, hey, I want to progress forward, and I think a lot of it is due to maybe your kid, right? Your son getting into jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
So it's kind of like that kind of thing of making sure that the son understands that, hey, dad's been doing this since I was little. Since I was, you weren't much older than your son when you started jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of cool to think of that's part of the motivation. So I remember you called me up and said, hey, like I'd love for you wanted me to come out there and train with you a little bit.
Yeah, I think that was the initial
that was
plan.
the initial plan. And then this just kind of happened out of the blue, right? Where you were going to be in town.
Yeah. And I've been wanting to do this for a number of years now, but I would have felt weird just like randomly like popping in here, like
dropping in.
Zero training, like at all. Like, hey, Joey, I haven't trained for 14 years. I'm going to come in there and I want to do my purple
Can I
belt.
test?
So I at least wanted to get back into it a little bit before and kind
I'm glad you did.
do like a little bit of a refresher. So I had my son's been like, he's been going to that gym since January, like the first week in January, we signed him up. So
awesome.
It's been almost a full year. And I started helping out the coach maybe 2 or 3 months ago.
Very cool.
So, and I can see why you
it's
really
fun,
like
right?
it. It's really fun, especially with the kids. Too,
Yeah.
Especially if it's your kid.
Who are a bit, yeah.
Hopefully you enjoy hanging out with him.
Did you suggest it for your kid, or did he find it for himself?
He kept asking me questions because he would like walk into my closet and he would see my dusty gi.
Dad's got a karate uniform.
Yeah. He actually did. He thought I did karate, and I said no. So I had to explain that to him and what it was, and I showed him a couple YouTube videos of jiu-jitsu and what it was, and I'm like, does it look fun? He's like, yeah, I'll try it. And because we had him in.
And
like,
how old? He's like 5, 6.
He's 8.
8. Oh
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, he's 8. So yeah, he started when he was 7, and that's such an awesome age. I wish I would have started
Oh yeah.
kind of younger.
Me too.
Don't we all? Yeah. Everyone who does jiu-jitsu wish they started earlier.
Yeah, I mean,
except for like Mika Galval. Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He started early.
But I didn't want to force him. Like I played football, basketball, and baseball. I don't know why my dad let me play. I was actually our quarterback in high school.
Oh no way.
I always tell the story. I said, don't get too excited. I wasn't good at football. I was just better than the other two.
I remember you telling me that
kids
too. Though I do remember.
I was a $145.
Yeah, so
just out there, right?
Like, again, going back to the beginning. So like then I knew you. Like I remember doing private lessons with you, right?
Yeah. I would.
And this was later. I mean, this was not when I was 17. I think it was already.
I think you were like a purple belt or a brown.
I've been
belt
around. It was for a while, so I think we were training together.
Yeah.
And then I think you asked for some private lessons because you were busy with school and stuff. And so it's so funny. And I knew you were into accounting. But then to seeing you now as a professor
of accounting,
that's so cool, man. It's like you really stuck with the field.
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it definitely feels weird to
we're all just old. That's what it is. Really.
I know.
Like, I went from not having a school. Now I have a school. Now you're a professor. You have kids. You have, like, I do remember you as like, it felt like you were like a little kid, like we're a similar age. You're only 2 years older.
We were.
Like,
we all,
we went from little kids to adults through jiu-jitsu. Like knowing each other on the mat as teens, all the way now to in our 30s. It's pretty cool. It's wild to think about. Because it doesn't, like yesterday when we were training, and we haven't trained together forever. Yeah. It felt like the same. I legitimately felt like we were just like 18, 19 years old.
Started.
Yeah. I was definitely a little bit more stiff than I was, 12 years ago.
That's the first thing he said. It was funny because Ross, who's been on the show with us.
Yep.
Ross was his partner. I brought him in, to help. And
Ross was awesome.
Yeah, Ross did a good job. He was a good partner for you. It was fun. But he, right away, he's like, Luke's like, I'm not as flexible as I used to be. And I looked at Ross and I was like, Ross, you've never been flexible. He was like, because Ross was like, yeah, I understand that.
There's no used to be on Ross. Yeah,
he's just not flexible.
Stiff, yeah,
that's funny.
No, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, you did great, man. So you came in, you did your purple belt test, did awesome.
What did you think of the test? That was something we were talking about earlier. As you were saying, you've taken a test before, and it seemed a little, just. I don't know if maybe like too structured was. As a teacher, I'm sure you could articulate it very well.
No, I feel like honestly, I told Joey this afterwards. I don't think I would change anything about how he structured the test. I mean, I even texted him like a few weeks ago, like. Again, just thinking that there was some sort of outline, just kind of how it was when I got my blue belt, just because I wanted to be able to be prepared. I'm like, Joey's probably going to throw things at me that I haven't done for a while or I'm not very good at. But I absolutely love, he basically said, why don't you just get in here and we'll just kind of work through some different scenarios. So we started, on our feet doing some just hand fighting stuff and just really, it basically encompassed the whole, in my brain, I mean, you know Joey better than I do. But the whole,
I've never met this man. Who are you?
This is why we sit somebody between us.
I don't like it too close to me.
It really encompassed the whole like Joey Diehl vibe and flow of jiu-jitsu. Everything. He's like just stay loose, stay relaxed, and we're just flowing. So that's kind of what a lot of it was. And then we would be in positions and where we were doing like Ross is going to put you like in a heel hook. I'm not going to tell you what to do. Just in your brain, just kind of walk through it. And I told Joey, I said, well, do you mind if I'm going to talk it out because I want you to understand why I'm.
And I really enjoyed that, actually. I told him that too. It was like, because we were doing escapes. So one of the topics was escapes from like submissions. And we did arm bars, triangles, kimura, all like the big families of submissions. And I was like, here's the scenario. It's up to you. Like, figure it out for a little bit. And some people do a lot better when they verbalize and like basically try to teach out loud. Mm-hmm. But then some people don't, right? They would rather just kind of feel it and do it. So like when he articulated things, it actually made you understand it a lot better. Yeah. I don't think everyone does that as well.
Well, I know. I was just actually going to say, we do, our topics of weeks, but then we have integration weeks where it's a lot of like review, and we actually have the students try to teach some of the stuff. And what I noticed a lot is when we have some of the students teach stuff, they like over-explain so much of like certain things, and it's just like when
that's how their brain is
they're overwhelmed, right?
Well, and maybe that's how their brain is like doing the technique in their head. They're overthinking certain things, and you start realizing like, oh, you can trim off a lot of this and start to clear this technique a little bit faster.
Yep. And you're 100% right, and I can elaborate that a little bit as far as being a professor. Mm-hmm. So again, accounting is already tough, right? I'm not going to sit there. Like if I was teaching you like basic accounting, it's already hard. I'm not going to make it any harder than it needs to be. I don't like to use the phrase like dumb things down because it makes people feel stupid, but I try to just keep it as simple as possible. Mm-hmm. And so once you start really going into like the fine details, like if I'm explaining like debits and credits to you, like I can probably do that in like 10 minutes. Am I going to make it a 30-minute conversation? Because then after 30 minutes, you're just going to be so lost. Yeah. And I feel like you do a really good job of that, and everything makes sense. Like, and you kind of just, show like why we're doing what we're doing. I remember, yesterday I was telling him before you came over here when we were doing the little heel hook escapes, and you're like, hey, just go ahead and like, sit on Ross's foot and then scoot that leg over. I'm like, see, it's like duh.
Yeah, let's use that example. Let's explore it a little bit, because it was basically straight leg entanglements, commonly called like single leg X, but from the ground. So depending on what your terminology is. Straight leg control is what we call it, or single leg ashi. But I was basically just trying to see how he would escape without giving him too much information. And like it was fun to see the thought process. So like first he was like, well, I feel like I can't pull my leg out. Was the first thing he said. It was like, okay, yeah. He's like, I can't really come forward. Okay. It's like, well, maybe I'm going to spin. And like he starts to spin and we're like, okay, now let's think about why this might be a risk. Yeah. We talked about the belly down, foot lock. Yeah. It's like, all right, well, so now we have let's be careful of this. I'm not saying don't do it. Just, here's the risk. Okay. So now we took that off the table. And then you tried to do what else was the second thing you tried to remember?
I think the very first thing that I did was try to just sit.
Oh, was the raping.
Sit up. Yeah. And then I brought his foot as soon as I
and then he started pulling the foot across.
I looked at Joey and his just,
and we're like, interesting.
His disappointment. And as soon as I did it, I'm like, that's not it.
That's another risk.
Well, remember we had a day where we were drilling.
It drove me crazy.
And we were looking at, and so many people were in that position. Joe was just like, stop. We brought everybody in and showed them how to deal with that.
Visual for those who are unfamiliar, right? Is like, imagine someone's attached to one of your legs, and if the leg that's on the outside got pushed across the center line, it's commonly called like reaping, and there's going to be so much pressure on the outside of your knee, you could actually hurt yourself, not even on purpose. Yep. It's not like they're attacking you, you hurt your own knee. So, all right, so now we stop from going belly down, we stop from reaping. There's only a few more options, and like you intuitively kind of figured out, okay, well, I should kind of like try to get up and get around this frame, but the way you did it was tricky. So then now we're getting into techniques. So how much better is that for you to problem solve your way to the answer?
I love it.
Versus me just going like, step 1, do this, step 2, do this, step 3, do this. And then you repeat it and we're like, okay, you got it. High five. Yeah. You're never going to remember that shit.
Yeah, you know? I love it. And proof that I love it is that's exactly, literally, Joey, that's exactly how I teach. Like if you're a student of mine and you come in and you're like, hey, Professor Nicholson, I have a question on the chapter 1 homework this week. Can you walk me through it? I'll say, okay, open up. Here's question 1. Go ahead and get started.
Let me see you do it.
Go ahead and get started. I'm going to give you 5 minutes. Go ahead and kind of work your way through it. There's like 20 parts to it. Like if you don't know how to do 5 of them, it's okay. You can leave it blank, or you can put in an answer that you think it is, and we'll go through it. So like I'm at least giving you a chance, and that's kind of like what you were doing yesterday. So I, as an accounting professor, I teach in a very similar fashion as how you teach jiu-jitsu, and it's really neat.
Well, I think
that's why I love your style so much.
Cool, man. Appreciate it.
I mean, then you'll also get to see, like you said, there's 20 parts to that assignment you've taught somebody, and if they don't know 5 of them, it's okay. But you want to only spend time in those 5. They know the other 15. So if they show you,
maybe there's
now you can see what they know.
I'll also say there's a little bit of, at least in my opinion, and I'm talking about jiu-jitsu, but I'm sure it also applies to other things. A little bit of like laziness from a teacher's perspective is that it would just be easier just to show you the move. And maybe not even easier, but like it would be, it's like the lazy way of doing it versus like me sitting there and just letting you explore. Like, cause I'm curious. I like that. Like I find that enjoyable. But if I'm like, hey, I want to get this over with, I'm just going to show you the move, do what I do. It's wrong. Do it again. Do it this way. It's like, to me, that's like a lazy way of teaching, where it's like, it requires more presence. It requires more patience to just let the student mess some stuff up safely and let them self-correct with a little guidance with me, like guiding you why we're doing it. So like, the answer to the solution, the solution was we were talking about, and then it came to like the concept of guard and like where is the person dangerous. So like to explain it to him so that hopefully it then makes sense is like his knees are trapping one of your legs. So it's the space between his knees that are the problem. It's not the knee itself. Like, of course, you keep running into his knee. Yeah. But what if you could get inside of his 2 knees?
You ain't gonna run into it no more.
Yeah. Now you own the space between his legs, and you can start coming forward. Yeah. So that was like that was us problem solving together. And he's and then like he did it once. It kind of felt a little weird. Second time, oh, now I got it. And like it's a great escape for that. Yeah. It's like perfect. We got something for today. I want you to explore that when we're if you
every time you're training.
Yeah.
And then that little leg entanglement, what you said, where you sit on the foot, and the one we were just talking about, and then you just cross that leg over and just hop into mount. I'm like, Jesus, it's like
you'll like it.
I never would have thought about like trying to just, all right, you're in trouble. I'm about to be, heel hooked or something like that. I'm gonna hop into mount. You're like, what? No, you're not. How are you gonna do that?
I'm winning now. Yeah.
Yeah. The tables turn quick.
So it's so cool.
Awesome, man. So I'm glad you enjoyed the test. So
I would keep, and feel free to get, feedback from your other students too. I don't think there's really anything about that. I don't know how you structure your, blue, purple, brown, black. I'm not sure how you do it. I'm assuming you probably do it kind of a similar
I've
fashion.
evolved so much, right? The way that I've way that I was brought up through like a testing structure. Jiu-jitsu is just so interesting. There's really no standardized way. It's not like academics where there is like some standards.
Yeah.
It's there is so much variety on how people do. Some people don't.
Each person
do
is their own standard. Kind
and
of,
some people don't even do tests at all. It's just here you go, you got it. Or there's I really think there's two different ways that most people do tests. It's either one curriculum driven where it's a list of moves, and I want you to remember what I call these moves and how I like to do these moves, and then you're going to perform them. And that's where the pretest kind of has to happen. You need that pretest because you want to know exactly what I want.
Yeah.
If I give you a list of things, number one, you might not know what the name even means, and then number two, even if you did, you go Google it. Someone else might do it differently, and I'm like, that's wrong.
So you got to find the specific.
But is it wrong?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's so arbitrary and hard to really understand. And then what I prefer is more of a method of us being more interested in concepts and ideas. So we're basically just teaching, or we're testing you on your understanding of things versus your memorization. So I don't want you to just try to memorize a list of techniques. Yeah. And I used to do that. That was how we were brought up in our testing. Like Kyle, same thing, right? You blue belt, purple belt.
Yeah, you're just given 20, 30
belt,
moves.
Did you have a brown belt test?
I don't think it did test for brown belt. And then black belt was just the old school all test. The moves from a book. Gracie.
It's the same idea. So that is, I think, where that comes down from, right? Yeah. It's like, here's a list, memorize it. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think it's wrong. It's just different. And I don't know if it's the best way to test someone's understanding. It's a great way. Some people do really, like we said that, right? I'm sure you see this with students. Some people just naturally are great memorizers. Yeah. So they can memorize things, and that's great. I think it's a really good skill, and you should try to memorize things sometimes. Like there's certain things you should try to, remember. But it really doesn't show me. If you memorize a test, it doesn't mean you are good at jiu-jitsu.
Right. It has a short half-life too. You memorizing
maybe
things.
That just goes out.
I mean, you and then
maybe you did good on the test,
and maybe you can memorize it for like a year. Maybe you can memorize a lot of stuff about accounts and liabilities and like equities. Maybe you can remember all that stuff, but then
understanding. Is different.
I remember like taking a lot of accounting stuff in high school, but from now it's just like do I put my house and my assets in my life? I don't know. It's like it's like after a while it gets a little cloudy.
But when you understand something, it doesn't matter. Like a new variable comes in, the understanding will fix it.
Yes.
And with jiu-jitsu, it's all variables. Like live, I'm talking about fighting. Fighting is all variables. There are no scenarios where someone just sits there perfectly and lets you grab their arm and grab the leg and do the move that you were taught to do.
Yeah.
And we tested that because then that's where we headed, right? We went from, this application of like, show me some ideas, let's explain it. And then now let's do the actual training. And so we finished the test with like 15 minutes of guard is kind of the focus for purple belt for us. And so we did 15 minutes of live training.
Yeah. The first five were okay. First five were good.
And then it started getting a little tired.
Second five, I was like, all right. And I was telling him, I said it was funny because Joey had me start with Ross. And then if Ross
is heavy too.
Passed or did something like that, and then Joey hops in, I'm like, oh crap! I'm like, we should do it the other way around. Right? Joey's going to pass me in
Ross
30
spent some
seconds.
Good time, yeah. Ross, the first round, it was like, or the first go.
Okay,
it was like Ross wasn't trying to pass too hard. I was like, pass his guard. Ross was like stopping him.
Okay,
I was like, oh man, he's gonna get tired.
Yeah, and I did.
And Ross recovered.
Okay, Ross got his time off.
Yeah.
So you stayed in the whole time. It was fun, man. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the.
I did.
Because I do think there's a level and this is what maybe is unique to jiu-jitsu or to martial arts is like there is a level of like you want to feel there's a physical earning that's not just technical and like questions. I want you to feel like I want you to have a little sore. I think he cramped up a little bit. His calf.
No,
his stomach. See you, TJ later, buddy.
See you, Darren.
I definitely expected something like that too, and but my wife before we came in here, she's like, "I'm looking forward to watching Joey beat you up," and that's kind of what I that's kind of what I expected. I was like, all right, I'm like, all right, Joey's gonna put me through a test, and at the end, he's gonna beat me up for 5-10 minutes or whatever, and then we'll
that's jiu-jitsu, baby.
In the nicest way. I just think it's it's part of it. It's like you want to remember the test, and I think we remember stuff like that. Hopefully you remember some of the concepts and ideas, but then you also remember how it felt to be like, man, that was tough.
Can you elaborate a little bit on what we were talking before? And you were saying like when you first started training, a lot of your training was just a lot of rough training partners. right?
Yes.
But so, I mean, so now you just said how, you got beat up by Joey yesterday, but the beat up by Joey yesterday has got to be vastly different than the version of beat up from back in the day. So maybe just, if you could articulate it a little bit, I think it's very helpful for people to hear that idea.
Yeah. When it's different when you start off as a white belt. I didn't know what to expect. I know, Joey, you were kind of asking me kind of like what sparked your interest. That was, I was really into UFC at the time, and you're watching that stuff, and you're watching
at like 17.
Yeah,
when you were
15? 17, 18, and you're watching people get, the striking stuff was cool. It's fun watching people get knocked out, but I was so much more interested in like the triangles. I'm like, what's that? Or rear naked choke. And I'm like, that looks fun. That looks awesome. I want to kind of explore that a little bit, and I just Googled, mixed martial arts gyms. I was in Marengo. There's nothing in Marengo, obviously, and Team Curran was one of the ones nearby, and I looked up Jeff to see like who he was, because you want to go to a gym that has like, this guy actually fought in the WEC and UFC.
Yep.
Let's give that a try. But anyway, going back to your question, yeah, as a white belt, I had no idea what to expect. I knew that I wasn't going to submit anybody. I wasn't going to do anything special. I just tried to rely on my I guess whatever natural athleticism I have
From doing sports a little bit.
just to like try to use basic survival instincts just to not totally get smashed. But
I know if someone's arms around my neck, this is not good.
This is bad.
Yeah.
Naturally.
But yeah, especially, over at Team Curran, going against those guys who were, if I was a brand new white belt going against, 4-stripe white belts or blue belts who were, I mean, so many people that were bigger than me and just trying to like smash you and hurt you. And I get it. I mean, jiu-jitsu, you're allowed to use. I mean, Joey saw me yesterday. He's like, Luke, I can see your veins exploding. I'm not trying to, Joey just, you could just tell I don't even know if Joey uses any of his muscles. He just flows. But I just knew that was hard for me to get over. That was, I'm like, wow, is this really like how it's going to be? Just like, I'm not going to say anyone's, name to call them out, but bigger guys who were just trying to like overpower a little skinny 140 pounds. It's like,
right.
Okay,
to make them feel good.
I'm like, I'm like, okay, you're a blue belt. I'm a white belt.
You're also you're like a 30-year-old man. I'm 18, 17. You're just like, just using all your strength to try to break me. I know the feeling.
And you could like, you can feel it now of like, it doesn't go through my head, but I could see it going through someone's head of just like, they're a man. They're 18.
Yeah.
I can do whatever. It's like, yo,
That's
dude,
true.
like this kid just got out of school. Like,
Yeah, that's true.
Brutal, man.
Yeah.
But that's how it started for me, and I got really discouraged. There was definitely, I mean, everyone goes through little periods where they feel like they're going to quit. But I would talk to Jeff and then talk to Joey, and I'm like, man, I don't know. Like, I don't know if this is for me. I don't know if I'm ever going to get better at it. But they're like, just stick with it. You'll start to learn techniques. You'll start to get smoother. You'll start to get better. And then it comes to a point where I think I was, second or third degree, white belt going against like new guys, right? Like
brand
new, no stripes. And I've heard several times from various Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, like black belts, is like the blue belt standard is you should be able to beat an untrained opponent who is larger than you. That's I've heard. I don't know if you, I don't know if you believe.
Makes sense.
It's a good, it's a good, like we said, there's all different standards, but that's
and
a
it
good.
also depends on who that untrained person is.
Like Colton, his first day going, it's like
there's some people. There's some people. They're just they're
that guy's a problem.
Yeah.
There's people who like. I mean, I'm sure there's people who'd be a problem now. Who don't know anything.
Like Eddie Hall.
Yes, it just feel like
there's some big dudes out there, so it'll definitely matter.
But yes,
but you guys helped me out a lot. I stuck with it, and then there came, points like, before I got my blue belt where I was being able to handle myself against other white belts and blue belts who were considerably bigger than me. And that was,
so you had like this moment of success that maybe sparked your joy for it.
Yeah. And it wasn't necessarily about like the whole winning, like, I choked this guy out, like I'm awesome. It wasn't really about that. It was just being comfortable enough with my jiu-jitsu to like, know how to defend myself and like, hey, this guy's like 280 pounds. I just took his back. I just took his back. I can care less.
It feels good.
Yeah, I can care less about. I mean, the rear naked choke or submitting him is a bonus, but just being able to be in a dominant position against somebody who is considerably bigger than you.
It's kind of like fun for me to think of it like talking, like a conversation, like we're doing right now. Which humans, like, this is what people do enjoy it. Like, it's fun to be involved. It's like if you're a group of people, no one wants to be the person who's kind of like on the outside. Like, you guys are talking about cool stuff, and I'm like, I got nothing to say. I don't understand. Like, jiu-jitsu feels like that when you start.
Yeah.
It's like everyone's doing cool shit, and you're like, you try, and you stumble, and like you mess up your words, and
I
you
can
don't
tackle them.
You're just not a part of the conversation. And then like one moment happens where like, oh, like I can actually, I'm in on this. I understand it now. I can do it. And like then you just get better and better. As you get better, like you're the person who's controlling the conversation a little bit better. Like you grab a partner and you're starting things and you're making things work. And I think that it's just such a special feel. It's a special feeling that's really hard to describe to someone. Because like the way that I'm trying to use an analogy for it, it's difficult to understand, but it's like, what I'm talking about when you felt it. It's like you start jiu-jitsu and nothing is working and you're like, I don't think I can ever do this. And then before you know it, it's just the right matchup, right time with the right person, and something good happens, and like it's like starting all over again. I got it.
It's at least possible.
Yeah.
It's you walking up to like a deadlift weight and you like trying to pick it up and it literally doesn't come off the floor at all. And you're like, this is impossible. And then like the one time like one half of the weight just starts to come a little bit off the floor. You're like, okay, like now I can at least start I can build off this a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's definitely those were the moments that really kind of kept me going and kept it exciting. I did the very first Naga that I did. I think.
I was gonna ask, did you ever compete? I don't remember.
Yep, did a Naga. It was like a 3-stripe white belt, and Jeff wanted me to compete, and I did, and won my first match. I think it was on points.
Was I there? Do you remember?
I think you were there. I don't think I saw you though.
Okay.
I think you were. We had a lot of guys. This would have been when I was like 21. So you're probably like 19 or something like that. But anyway. Yeah, did a Naga, won my very first one. I was really nervous because you remember I played, it was football, basketball, and baseball. I wasn't used to.
Never wrestled.
You at least wrestled, so you're like,
wrestling's a big.
You're like, all right, let's go. Like you know what to expect. I'm like, this is a grappling.
It's totally different.
Walking there by yourself, in front of everybody.
It's exciting.
And so won my first match on points. Second match, like I'm not saying this guy was ranked higher, but you know that there are sandbaggers in there, and I just know that I wasn't bad enough for this to happen. I think within like 20 seconds, the guy put me in like an arm bar. He was, I don't even know what happened.
Flying arm bar.
It was nuts. I mean, he just outclassed me like in so many ways. I'm like, man, I've gone against blue belt, purple belt at Team Curran that were nowhere like that's never happened. Like I would lose to Joey or like a purple belt at that time, but it would take like 2 minutes or so. 2 minutes.
It took a little bit of time.
Yeah.
You know, and
you never know, man.
That was, but it's right. That was my first experience. I did, when you guys were doing your XFOs, Jeff, he would have grappling matches at the beginning.
Yeah.
So
I did a couple of those. Yep.
He asked me if I wanted to do one. And it's so funny. I went against this guy. I forgot what gym he was at. He was at a gym in Woodstock. I forgot which one it was. I still know his name. I won't say his name, but I still know his name. He was actually, one of my linemen in high school.
Oh, no way.
That's awesome.
Who apparently lost him. He was a lineman, so he apparently lost a lot of weight. And he was 20 pounds heavier than me. And Jeff's like, all right, it's like the day before, like you're supposed to be at 145. You're 145. I think he was like 163 or something like that. He's like, do you still want to take him? I'm like, I don't know. Do you think I'll win? He's like, well, I don't know who the hell this guy is, but
sure.
I trust you.
So I'm like, all right. So we did it, and I put him in a triangle in like a minute and 40 seconds, and yeah, it was cool. Because I've never done. It is fun. So I've never done.
Competing's awesome.
I've never done like a MMA fight. So that was like the closest thing where I was actually in the octagon.
But people watching,
just doing jujitsu and. Yeah, it was pretty neat.
So that was your last...
all the pretty girls, all the all the hot waitresses. I'm like they're watching. I'm like they're watching. Really, they're not watching. They're serving drinks. But I'm like hey ladies, like
you ripped your shirt off.
Yeah, you might choke. Yeah,
no one's watching. You rip your shirt off or nothing
on the cage.
Well, there was like.
Was this at Home Bar? Where was this at? Do you remember?
Well,
I'm trying to think of like maybe Kyle was on the show too.
The outdoor war.
Oh, it was outdoor war.
Yeah.
Oh, you did a grappling match at outdoor, so in Island Lake. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I probably fought on the same card.
You did. You won.
Oh no shit.
Yeah, you won.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So we could be on the same card.
Yeah.
Look at that. Man, like it's
small
so cool.
fight world.
I think back to training with you and stuff. I remember doing lots of private lessons and.
Yeah. Thanks, Dad.
Yeah, I do remember.
I didn't have any money. And my dad's like,
Dad hooked you up.
Yeah, he's like, well, how much are the lessons? With Jeff. And I'm like, they were expensive.
Yeah,
he's
go
like,
to the cheap route.
He's like, well, who's the other guy? I'm like, it's Joey. He's
like $20.
Yeah. He's like,
I'll do it for free.
Buy him some McDonald's. Will be good.
Yeah, I'm still super affordable.
He's like, why don't you do 3 lessons with Joey instead of 1 lesson with Jeff? I'm like, Fair.
Yeah, that'd be fair. And, and I'm just obviously, I feel like jiu-jitsu, some people are just really good at understanding it. But like no matter what, it takes time to get really good at teaching. So like comparatively, I didn't know what I was doing then.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to think from that point of view of like me then. I don't even know what I was showing you. I was probably just teaching whatever was on my mind at that time and whatever
What you
Jeff
were
was
doing.
doing.
I think it was.
we were probably doing some type of curriculum there. So it's just funny how to think back. Like I was just a kid teaching another kid. Like I don't even know what we were doing.
Yeah.
But we're trying to get better together.
Yeah, it's two people in their basement almost just going over videos.
Try some stuff.
Well, I love the classes, but for me personally, those were the moments where I feel like I learned the most, just like that one-on-one attention, not like, all right, Joey's going to show me a technique, but then he's got to walk around the room and go, he's got to do his job. He's got to get around everybody.
Would you, if you could say, about private lessons to someone, like what is the selling point? Like why should someone do private lessons?
I would say the selling point is kind of what I was leading at there, is just the individualized attention. You can, it's tough when you're in a class because you walk over to me, I'm working with somebody and you can maybe spend 3 or 4 minutes to kind of show me some things. But to be able to have like an hour-long private lesson with someone like you get a kind of feel for what my game is, what I'm trying to accomplish. And it really allows you to break things down and help that person understand something. So I personally am a big fan of private lessons. I understand that, for a lot of people, they're expensive and people don't want to spend that kind of money. But even if you can throw in 1 private lesson, 2 private lessons a month, I think is a really big game changer. Because when you're doing a class, right, you're teaching a class, I'm not going to be like, hey, Joey, I'm really struggling with,
like kind of selfish
with heel hooks. Can
spend the next 30 minutes with me.
Joey's like, no, we're doing like back take. That's not even close. And so it allows you to, you're paying for the lesson, right? So you can say, dictate, hey, Joey, this is what I want to focus on today. And you're like, okay, let's do that. So I just like how the ball's kind of more in your court and doesn't feel as rushed.
It's funny thinking if people were struggling seeing the benefit of it, like everybody from an educational perspective, everybody sees the benefit of a tutor.
Yeah.
And it's just that's the same thing. It's just your
and like you said about you could do one of those that would potentially completely change your outlook on how you do jiu-jitsu.
Yep.
And just that one value, then it's totally worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I don't think I would have been promoted in 13 months if it wasn't for, I don't know how many I did. Probably like 10 lessons with Jeff, probably like 8 or 10 with you.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that was the reason that Jeff promoted me faster, but I know it definitely helped. I definitely
because he knew you. You got in his face, but hey.
Well, yeah. Yeah, but it was he definitely, out of everybody in our, I forgot who. You remember guys like Corbin Manson?
Oh yeah.
So I think Corbin.
That was your group, right? Your time.
He got his blue belt, I think.
Right before.
It was either the same time or the one after mine.
Okay. Who else was in your group?
And then you had
if you throw out names, I'm just so
Corbin.
bad.
I'm going to say Corbin might have been in my group. But Corbin and I were good friends. He was funny. He was actually,
you guys always.
He was good. He wasn't.
He was a goofball.
He was. Grayson.
Platt?
Yep.
Yeah.
He's a black belt now.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Yep.
He lives in Arizona. I think he's still in Arizona or Colorado or Arizona.
Good for him. Good for him. I know
I still talk to him every once in a while.
He
Great
did
kid.
even more privates than I did. I mean, I don't know
his
much
dad.
about
That's all he did.
I think his dad had a lot of resources to.
They were he would do privates and that was awesome. At the same time, huh?
Yeah.
Nice.
But just I think you're asking about the privates and stuff. I think it was a big. Not that I was better than anybody who I was testing. A lot of those guys are really good. Grayson was really good. Corbin, all those guys are really good. Grayson's really, really technical. But one of the things that I kind of like discovered about myself is that those privates, I feel like, made me more technical with some of my techniques. I'm not saying I'm going to pull them off better than Corbin or Grayson or whoever,
of it.
but I feel like I was able to kind of break them down and understand why we're doing certain things. And I was just more. Remember, I'm an accounting professor, so I like those fine details. I like there's you have to be a meticulous, detail-oriented person if you're going to be an accountant or an accounting professor or anything in the accounting field or finance for that matter.
Or you could try not to be, and then you see where it ends up.
I
right?
mean, yeah,
which is the same thing with jiu-jitsu. It'll probably end up bad.
Put one number wrong in an Excel spreadsheet.
See what happens.
See what
Yeah.
the cascade that happens. is
Before
just-
you know it, you got submitted.
Yeah.
To prison.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's a big part of the reason why I love jiu-jitsu so much, because you're always evolving. The game is always changing. You got guys like Joey who are not fixed in their ways, not fixed in some of the old school techniques, but taking those techniques and trying to improve them or trying to make them more. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. I think people just have to, if you guys haven't, checked these guys out or checked out, Joey, just look him up on YouTube. You can get a really good feel for his game and just how he just the way he moves. And I know I was telling you yesterday, I was telling him too while you were getting ready. I said I would love to. My goal is to kind of have the game similar to Joey's. And Joey's like, you got to have your own game. That's fine. I'm like, but do
your style is
do your own
important
style.
too. Yeah,
But,
I think you said something like that through text, right? You were like, I hope I can make a style like you or something. I was like,
yeah.
you got
Make your own, baby.
Your style is
Yeah.
gonna be even better than mine. It's your style.
I know, but I just meant more of like, the flow.
Yeah.
Just how effortless and easy you make things.
Well, we
look.
take little pieces from everything that we like, but like I do think it's an important thing. Like I mean it when I say it. It's like you will have your style of jiu-jitsu is the best style for you.
Yeah.
Like your personality, your body type, all these things, like that's what makes a style.
Yeah.
And it might be extremely similar to someone else's,
Yeah.
but there's still
It's
there's
still you.
always that little spice that makes
Yeah.
you know.
And that spice could be even just like your choices, like how you choose things when you're going, like when you're alive. Like you gotta, and like we start to realize, like after maybe even years of mistakes, like you start realizing, like I'm not even doing the right style for me. This doesn't feel right for me. Why am I trying to squeeze people? I'm not that big.
Yep.
Like, or why am I trying to like float around? I'm a big guy. What
Yep.
am I doing?
Crush these people.
Why don't I put some weight on some people? It's like you figure out your style as you go.
Yeah. You won't usually see me try to go for like collar chokes and stuff like I'm just,
Yeah.
I feel like I know anybody can do them, but I feel like that's generally more of like a big brute, like the
Smashing
big
people's
guys
faces
choke
out.
you with your own collar.
I did a collar choke once.
Once or twice,
Yeah,
Kyle's
back
done
in
them.
the day.
Back in the day, never again.
No.
but I think like rolling with people though, and hopefully again my plan is to come up here quite a bit this summer and
Yeah, man, you're always welcome.
Bring my son up here and train with you a lot. I would love to be able to do lessons and stuff where you can say hey, you need to develop your own game. But I think you've been doing it long enough where you can probably roll with me and kind of get a feel for like my body and like, all right, Luke Scott, I know you roll with people that are big arms, long legs, but all right, Luke's kind of like a more wiry guy. He's taller. He's got long legs. How can we maybe utilize his frame, his legs to do cool shit, cool moves,
man. Endless amounts of potential.
Yeah.
That's fun too.
Whereas like, I remember that little, your little from the guard, if you're in somebody's guard, that little just scooting that knee in.
My knee split.
You did it.
I did it to my guy. He's like, I remember this.
Yeah. I was like, damn it. I'm like, I remember that.
Yeah, I do that that's like pretty consistent in my game.
But like, see someone like me, and this isn't like a short joke, but
Hey, you got the long legs,
but
man.
I'm like, it's tough to get that leg in. It's tough to get that leg in to scoot it over. When
I will say
I got an answer for it.
Yeah.
For you. I could make it happen.
Yeah,
For you.
I will say, like, I'm sure for you, it's developed so much that, like, I got long legs too. But then from Joey doing it so much and me studying him, doing it, him teaching it to me, like, like it's usable for you.
It's about what the person's doing too. It's where their hips are. So like, there's people who extend their hips, and if they extend their hips, you can split. But there's people who pull their knees and walk their legs high. You're gonna have to then you have to pay attention to how their legs are.
Yeah, who is
whether they're extending or contracting.
Got
it. And then what you add to is you now just start to stand all the way up. And as you start to stand up, they're going to walk their legs up.
And
when you do, you can split the middle, even no matter how long your legs are. But you got to make them go to the right position. So if you're trying to force, and this is just the truth about any technique. Remember what we were talking about? Part of your test to see how you remember this.
Yeah.
We'll take the purple belt back. If you don't remember. It's like just like with the guard, the idea of like dimensions and directions.
Yeah.
Like that's how everything works. I don't care even if you're not good at a technique. It's when you're multi-dimensional. You have different directions that you're heading and you show someone a different direction. That's what makes something work. So like that is a great example of that. And we're talking about like if someone locked the guard around me, like closed guard, how do I open the guard? For me, like 99% of the time, I start to lift my hips And because I have short legs, even if you don't walk your legs that high, I can almost always just put my knee right in the middle and split it.
Yeah.
Now with someone longer legs, you're going to have to threaten standing up higher, like bring your head way up, and then the legs will walk up higher, like a high guard, and you'll split the middle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, I only
so adding that other dimension will make that possible. But if you just try to force splitting the legs, your legs are too long. You'll probably struggle.
Yeah, I always stand up vertical first, and then if people hold my head to stop me, that's what I'm going to split. Yeah,
that's
so
my
it's,
point.
it's almost like But
that's how the hips work, right? So if you understand like what the person's doing, then you'll be able to set that trap a little better.
Yeah.
Man, jiu-jitsu's cool.
It is.
There's
so
many
never ending.
Well, I was gonna. You mind if I ask you a question?
Please.
So I was gonna kind of just pick your brain a little bit too. We can kind of talk through it. But after I left yesterday, and you were talking about just again, I'm not going to say certain names and stuff, but I know you kind of got to a point where you feel like you were kind of stuck a little bit, with your jiu-jitsu, and you kind of just wanted to keep evolving. So I was thinking, I was like, what's a cool question I can ask these guys and kind of pick their brains on? And because I'm going through this right now with being a professor, let me kind of set up the question. So when I went to college, it was my mom dropped out of high school and married my dad when like 2 weeks after she was 18, didn't graduate high school. My dad dropped out of high school and then got his GED and then went into the Air Force for a couple of years and then went to college and dropped out his senior year of college and never finished. So it was always beat into our brains that like, don't be a loser like my dad said this, don't be a loser like me. Don't be a loser like your parents. Go to college, figure out what you love. My dad is he's big on, and I'll probably make him watch this podcast. He's big on passion. He's got a heart of gold. He really does. But he's like, figure out what you guys love. I'm not telling you to go to college to make a lot of money. I'm telling you to go to college because figure out what you love to do and then pick that
and give yourself the best opportunity to do it by being as educated as you can in the process.
And he was awesome. He's like, go to college, and if you finish, I will pay for it. I'm going to take out student loans for you along the way. And if you don't finish, you're stuck with those student loans. If you finish, I will pay them off.
Nice. That's awesome.
And I loved that approach, and I kind of love that mindset. But anyway, where I'm going with that is as I got into teaching, like my generation, you guys are the same age as me. Like I felt like when I was going through college, like I had a point to prove. I wanted to be better than my parents. I wanted to be successful, and it's not just, it's any students nowadays, this generation that's 10, 15 years younger than me that are, coming up and going to college now. I feel like everybody just wants to make six figures, but not have to do any work. Right. I just feel like in general, the students aren't as dedicated in wanting to work hard. It's almost like I feel like students in general today in colleges feel more entitled than I felt my friends were like in college. And so where I was going with that was, can you kind of correlate that to jiu-jitsu a little bit and teaching either adults or kids, but more specifically kids, because kids come in here and let's be honest, they're probably usually in here because their parents, hey,
they didn't sign up themselves.
You're going to do something and I want you to go do jiu-jitsu. So yeah. So how do you keep those kids engaged and involved, and how do you help them enjoy that as they become teenagers and adults to you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's a great question, and there is no real answer to that problem because that is the problem of a retention. It's the question of retention, especially when it comes to kids. But even from the adult perspective of like, it really, I do think there's a lot of that entitlement idea of, or even like instant gratification, if that might be the better way of saying it, more than entitlement for like even adults. Like they would like jiu-jitsu to be something like, it'd be cool if I could do that. So let me do it.
Yep.
Why aren't I good now? When am I going to get good? Like, it's like, I don't care how old they are. Kids are like that and adults are like that too. So, that is a problem that you don't really have an easy answer to.
What I heard from you is, I remember this one day when this really, as you were saying that generation, it really resonated with me. One day I was teaching kids at another gym, and I said to them, what do you want to do when you're older? And I mean, 90% would be the minimum. I think all of them said, I want to be a YouTuber. And I almost like, all right, like stop, boom. And I said to all of them, I was like, listen, like you can't just be a YouTuber. You need to have a skill to then go on YouTube and show to people. You can't just
I don't know
go
if I
on
agree with
and
you, Kyle.
I mean,
I'm just being honest.
well, I mean, okay,
It's not a skill to open a box, and a lot of
if-
people get paid a lot of money to open boxes and talk about it.
If you're right, and I'll agree that maybe I'm wrong, that will literally be the downfall of society is people being famous for literally nothing. I mean, that's just you got.
I mean, we have enough evidence of what that is.
Yeah,
We've seen that.
I mean, at least Kim slept with Ray J. I mean, something, put something out there, you know, like something. Yeah,
I guess that's a skill.
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah,
But you know what I'm saying? Like they need to do something first, and then you need to have a skill to then have people want to see it. You know, people just don't want to see you. You know, it's not.
Yeah. So to that question about like basically like retention and the ability, when you talked about for yourself and what your dad kind of wanted for you to be passionate and passion being important. That's really what we're trying to sell. That's what I'm trying to sell in my mind, and I just know how I'm passionate about what I'm doing. Like, I really just believe that whether you think being the best at something, it's always obviously, I'd love to be the best at jiu-jitsu. When I compete, I want to win. When I am thinking about business, I would like to be successful and whatever that means, financial or numbers. All those things are, of course, how we measure, like a metric for measuring success. But what I do have control of, I don't really have that much control over it, like winning and losing. We can train hard and we can show up and be the best we can. But at the end of the day, there is some stuff out of your control. If you lose because someone's better than you, like you can't be that upset about it. So what I do have control over it though is like how passionate I am about what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So like my job, I feel like my job, especially with kids, is to try to foster some passion about this. Like me and Kyle have talked about this before. I'd rather a kid be a little bit more crazy, like rambunctious and like, a little annoying. This is like lack of a better word. Like a kid who's just kind of like won't stop talking, but it's because he's excited about what he's doing. Like he's like having a fun time. I won't stomp that down compared to the kid who's just being an asshole. He's not really passionate about. He's not here because he likes. He's just being disruptive. Or it's sad to me when a kid is really just. And we do see this. It's just being honest. Like sometimes kids are just like not even here.
Yeah,
they are.
You could tell they don't want to be here.
Yeah, they're just not even here. They're just anywhere else but here. And like that it's just sad.
Yeah.
And I try my best. Like my job, I feel, is to try to bring out some passion from them. And maybe this isn't the thing for them, and that's completely just understandable. Maybe their thing is tennis or softball or whatever. But I hope they find that and they feel that passion. My job is to find that out.
Yeah. I mean, what you were saying reminded me of what Ross said. So Ross is a canine instructor, and so
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
he's
So
canine,
what he says about
Police
having a police dog is you cannot teach a dog to bite. You need a dog who wants to bite people, and then teach it who not to bite.
Yeah.
So like, we can have a student with a little
Kyle
too
wants
much.
a bunch of kid who bites.
Well,
he wants all the kids biting.
The kids with a little too much passion, and we can tamp that down a little bit in class. But kids who don't have it, it's hard to make them love jiu-jitsu if they don't.
We got a class of 30 kids, and they're all biting each other. We're happy.
This is perfect. Yeah.
Like, we got something to work with.
Yeah, but right, their energy is their bite.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
They need to have the bite in them a little bit.
Passion. Yeah.
Ben will come in every day and bite someone's ankle off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ben's got the most passion out of anyone. We got a sweet little kid who's, he has passion no matter what. So even if he's struggling with a technique, I can work with that. We can teach him stuff. That's gonna, and I don't even care about him being that great.
Yes.
I don't. That's not the. Again, it's not the success metric. Yeah. The metric is like, is he having fun? Is he enjoying this? Because down the road, success will always, it's going to happen.
Did he come in with a smile on his face again?
He
came in again smiling.
So that's the key. So, it's kind of interesting. Hopefully that kind of got you the answer I'm thinking of. Because that is like your job too, isn't it? Like you were saying about when you're teaching, there's a reason why, again, not to talk bad about anyone or people's processes, but the older philosophy of education or of teaching and sharing, sometimes is almost a little like, it's colorless and it's bland and
I
it's
agree.
boring. I don't know. There's no nice way to say it.
No, you're right. That's exactly what I don't do. So I even tell my students, I said, guys, so if I asked you like, hey, what is a normal, like a college lecture, what would if I said, hey
In your
guys,
head, what do you imagine?
like if you went in to observe someone else's class, what do you think that let's say it was like a intro to business class. How would you expect that professor to run that?
I've seen enough movies. I imagine, we're in a hall, like an auditorium, and someone's standing there and just talking at a monotone voice. Everyone else is falling asleep in the sides. People, they
might have like a PowerPoint presentation.
PowerPoint, yeah.
Well, I would think nowadays, right, too, that back in the day, PowerPoints, they would be up there pointing. I bet you now the teacher is sitting at their desk with the screen of the computer up there.
Clicking along.
And the students are watching a mouse in the screen teaching them. And it's like, I could be at home,
Yeah.
So I only said that to say this. So in none of my classes that I teach, I don't use PowerPoints at all. I'll give the students the PowerPoint. Do you really need me? Joey, you can go teach one of my classes right now. Joey, here's the PowerPoint.
Just
kind of
read along,
read it to the students. You can do that. You can do that on your own. What value am I adding to that class?
Interesting.
So all of my classes are hands-on. Hey guys, let's go through some homework exercises. Let me explain why we're doing what we're doing. Here's the PowerPoints. Go through those on your own. Here's the book. You can read the book. But I'm gonna give you the stuff. I want to walk you guys through. So again, kind of like, jiu-jitsu, right? Like explaining why are we doing what we're doing? How do we get in this position? How do we get out of this position? So that's just kind of it's adapting. It's adapting to, and this is where I was kind of leading with that question. It's adapting to this current generation of college kids. Maybe 20 years ago, you sit up there, you read off the PowerPoints. No one thought anything of it. This was an amazing class
because they wanted it.
Nowadays, because I've seen it happen to other people. If I sat up there, because these students they're allowed to do a course evaluations at the end of the classes. If I sat up there and read PowerPoints every single day, I would probably get 20, 30 comments back. Didn't really feel like I learned anything. Professor just read off the PowerPoint the entire lecture. I didn't really, there was no value. And I'm like, I've heard that from enough professors. I'm like, ooh, I don't want that to be me. And so that's not my style of teaching. I actually won the Student Choice Award for Professor of the Year for our college.
Nice.
My first academic year at Lindenwood. And the president was there too. He didn't really know who I was at the time. And he shook my hand and I had to take a picture with him. And he's like, so how long have you been here? I'm like,
1 year.
He's like, that's pretty awesome.
And they're like, we'll see if you're here in 10. See if you're still going.
Yeah.
Now
we don't know what you're doing with these students. You're giving them money or something.
Yeah. Now he knows my name and he asked me to be on this like president's this student housing committee thing. And the guy who's the chair of that committee, he's like, yeah, the president specifically asked for you to be on the committee.
That's great.
I'm like, I don't know anything about like the real estate side of it or if you want me to throw some numbers in Excel and organize, I'll do that. But I don't know. We're trying to decide are we going to sell them, rebuild, tear them down? And I'm like,
wow.
I don't know. Like this.
Yeah. I can log the numbers, but I'm not.
Yeah. But,
hey man. But if it's like you get rewarded for your effort, and maybe that's kind of part of the lesson for the kids or the generation that we're talking about. Even for younger kids too, it's like that passion that we're talking about gets rewarded.
Mm-hmm.
So if the kids, I don't know, it's certainly maybe from your point of view too, if you can explain how you view it. But how do we as people who are trying to teach something, whether it's accounting or jiu-jitsu or anything else, what is the goal for us? In my mind, I always think about it I really want every student to be able to, I want to teach people how to learn jiu-jitsu more than rely on me.
Yeah.
Right. So there's that feeling, at least for myself, where it's I think that almost the exact opposite from a lot of teachers. They feel the exact opposite. And it's like a self-preservation of saying I need them to come to me. So I want to keep it that way. I don't want them to be empowered. I want them to need me, you need me more would be the idea. And maybe with I think that maybe as a trap that we've fallen into in a certain way when it comes to learning stuff is that we give people enough, but we don't give them resources on how, how do you learn so that you can eventually become better than whoever's teaching you. Can you take this to a higher level?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just something interesting when I think about like being rewarded for your passion.
Give
How
a
to
man a
explain
fish or
that?
teach a man to fish.
Yeah,
Right. I mean,
that idea.
that's really right. You know, you could
To really learn something is different than like me just showing you stuff.
Have you ever thought about, I know you have the, they can't see it, but I know you have the QR code over there.
Yeah.
Is that just the QR code to the website?
That is a QR code to like a waiver.
Yeah.
Oh, the waiver.
So like if someone comes in and they sign the waiver.
I'm just like brainstorming things like as we're talking, you could do none of this, you could do some of it. Or,
Tell me
just,
everything. Give us some business advice,
on.
please, Professor Luke.
I love the QR code.
Doctor.
QR codes are big.
I love the QR code thing. So I actually use this website. It's called Mentimeter. I think it's just called like menti.com, Mentimeter. But I can create these really cool. I just said I don't use PowerPoints, which I don't. But like once a week or every other week, and like on a Friday or the last day of the week for the class, I'll say, on a scale of 1 to 10, how stressed out are you at this point in the semester? Right? Okay, the students saying they're, if one is or if one is not stressed at all and 10 is super stressed. Okay, the class is a 2 or a 3. Okay, I'm not overwhelming them too much. Was there any, or what
It's
did
like
you,
a survey.
what did you enjoy the most about the lecture this week? Oh, I really like the hands-on exercises that you did. Can we do more of those? What did you like the least? Like I always ask both sides, of the coin. What do you like? What don't you like? Is there anything else that you would like to see done in this class? Just little questions like that. So I was just thinking like, shoot, you guys can almost get like, I can send you the link to like, make that little Mentimeter. It's menti.com. I think it's free. You can like for the first month, you can try it out. If you like it, I think it's like $10 a month or something. But I'm like, you can put some kind of like by the benches where like the parents sit and like over here, and maybe you just ask them to do it maybe once a month. Parents,
Yeah, so we did it. We did it last year at the end of the year, and we were going to do one this month.
Okay.
It was just a year-end survey.
Review of,
or you can make them like fun questions where like, hey parents, like especially for the kids, like adults, it's easy, but for the kids, hey parents, go ahead and before you leave, as you're leaving, scan the QR code and let your kid kind of answer the questions.
Nice.
Right?
Oh,
Like,
that's great.
let the kids.
Yeah, I think that's awesome, man. I really like. I think I want to do that more often because
what like the kids like, and maybe.
But we didn't do it. Yeah, we didn't target it. It was just more general. It was more about like schedule. What did you do? Was there something you want to add to the schedule?
And can you can keep changing the questions in there?
Yeah.
So that's really cool. So you could have one QR
we just
code up
made
that the
up our
questions
own.
keep.
So we did like I think it was like Survey Monkey.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's like the brand that we used.
Yeah, there you go. I'm sure it's the same thing as probably the one that I use. But
like you just make up questions and you send it to them.
Yeah, I think it's kind of cool. And you can always
But the QR code's key.
Yeah, they could find it themselves. Yeah.
You can always, share the results too. Like at the end of the month, like, hey guys, for those of you that don't know, we have these QR codes around, and
you guys are all jerks. You guys all hate everything.
We're closing the gym.
Yeah.
Effective immediately.
The amount of feedback we got was
But yeah, like once a month, and say, hey guys, based on your survey results, you guys want to see more of this and less of this, or you want to do more.
Yeah, no, it's a great idea.
Or what
especially for the kids program. We have a lot of work, in my opinion. We have a lot of work to do with the kids. When it comes to building our program and like the goals that we have. So we still have a lot to do. And this was a good year, but it wasn't a great year. It's like it wasn't enough.
Just creeped up.
We spent a lot more energy on our adults.
Yeah. How many? So wait, this is what number year that you've?
This is in March of next year will be year 4. We'll begin year 4. We started in 2021.
Okay.
So all of 2021, 2022, 2023.
How many?
4, so this was 4th year.
And you don't have to talk about this if you don't want to on the podcast. But like, has your what has the growth? Like, how many students did you have basically when you opened the doors? I'm sure you had some.
We had come over. 4.
Really?
Yeah, we started with like 4 people, and then we had a group of a small group from an SBG, which is Straight Blast Gym, was in this location. Then they left, so there was like probably I would say like 8 at first, 8 people. So we started with that group, and it was just me and Nolan and his dad. Maybe you remember Nolan. Do you remember Nolan?
Nolan.
I think you were at that.
Maybe
That's right when he was.
I think Nolan came later.
Yeah, but not much later.
Not much,
it was
but
the same
yeah.
location.
Maybe if I saw a picture of him.
Yeah, Nolan was a little kid. He was 12 years old when you were training. So
Okay.
then he was 18 here.
Gotcha.
But we had a small group, and then over the years it's grown. Up to we were at about 200 members. We've lost a few kids, especially with the ISI stuff. And that was
like the wrestling club.
Yeah. So we're just under 200.
That's awesome. In 4 years, that's
really
I know
without
it
anything.
might not sound like a lot to you, but that's
we need a lot more work. It's like like especially with the kids. The kids are just it's a tough game, you know, because with children too, it's like programs, they grow in and out of them. So like with kids, the retention is tough
because you got to move them through different.
You know, we've had kids who grow into the adult class and they don't like the adult class so much, or we have kids who should be in the adult class even at a young age, and we have to then move them at like 12, 13 because they're just a little too old for. So you know, if you know anyone who runs a really great kids program, they had to put some effort into it. It doesn't just happen organic. Like you don't just throw in a kids class and let a blue belt run it and then
have it
before
explode.
you know it's growing big. It takes effort and like fostering and
and you know how kids are nowadays. Kids need rewards.
Yeah, we don't do it.
Just about every minute. Yeah,
and we cut that out.
I know this just because like I have one of each. I have a boy and a girl, a son and a daughter, and I know my son was on cloud 9. When he got his, he did his first.
His 2 stripes.
Yeah, his first. He got 2 stripes, but then they did a tournament, and there was
like an in-house
14 or 16 kids, and the coach made him weigh in and do all this stuff.
Yeah,
so it was a pretty generous. Like he's like 68 pounds. Some of the kids were like 58. Some were 78.
Yeah,
it was a pretty big window. But
he
came in second, and
that's awesome.
He was so happy, and he was like.
How did he do with losing to first? Did he handle it well?
He was crying. He was crying.
I'm sure that was just a house of tears.
Yeah,
he was
after every match. Yeah,
he was trying to not like cry like as the other kids like arm was going up, but you could just tell like he was just like starting.
He can't
to go.
help himself.
And he just like ran over and like hid behind this table, and I was like rubbing his back and telling him it was okay. I'm like, buddy, you still.
And then he got his medal.
Yeah, and
everything
was all good.
And like we had somebody over to the house, like a friend of ours who he's never met before. His name was Mike. And Ben's like, Dad, did you show my medal? I'm like, no.
First thing I did, buddy.
Dad, did you go to the neighbors? Make sure they know. Yeah,
but it was so cute, and those are the things that like, especially a kid like him, that are going to keep him going. Shoot, you got freaking McDonald's right here.
I know.
Because my wife goes,
should partner up.
No, he's like once a week, just go over there and just get like
the winner gets a French fry.
McNuggets.
Oh, free like a Frosty or something like that, right? Or like, hey, I'm gonna gauge you guys this week. And
I know we should do.
You got to earn a Frosty.
I know this is tough because then it's like I'm gonna pick
the bad reward, right?
Like I'm gonna pick the 3 kids who I felt like made the most progress this week. And
taking you to McDonald's,
same kid every week.
No, that's too much work. You just hand them here's a free Frosty.
That's funny.
Yeah, the same kid every single week.
We
or you have like the big kid, and you're like, yeah, he doesn't.
No more Frosties.
So I've gone through some phases, you know, and I've changed my opinions on it back and forth, and I do believe in it. Like I do believe there's so many like positive reinforcement stuff that we can work with more, but I've really stopped doing a lot of like just random promotions. So we ran into this thing years ago, where it's like, you know, trying to go off of other people's, you know, opinions and structures of like, okay, every 15 classes, give a kid a stripe, you know, to keep those constant rewards.
Yeah.
And then the kid is like looking at their card and like, I'm supposed to get a stripe. It made me not feel good about it. I felt like the kids were like, I don't know what's the word, like abusing it. Like they weren't really appreciating anything.
They weren't really trying to get better.
Like they earned anything.
They weren't really trying to get better. They just wanted to get an extra stamp on their.
They literally just wanted a gold star kind of feeling, and instead of actually feeling like they earned something. So we're a little bit more. We've leaned really heavy into the idea of like them earning stuff a little bit more versus just getting handed stuff.
Yeah.
But there's a fine line, and I think we need to find that balance and swing it in the middle and try to give those, because there is like. How sad is it to think like that a kid won't stick with something that later in their life they'll understand that it's not just about that. It's not just about a piece of paper or, you know, a piece of tape on their belt, but because of that little piece of tape, they're going to stick with it. Mm-hmm. And then the reward comes in. So there's a balance. It's not right or wrong.
Well, they just don't.
There's some tough ass guys who are like, don't give them anything. And it's like, they got to earn everything. It's like, they're kids.
Well, when they haven't been alive that long, the idea of delayed, gratification for something it literally doesn't work.
It's such an important lesson.
Yep. So I mean, yeah.
So there is that balance of like, I can't just keep giving them stuff.
Yeah.
Like, so there was that swing, and so 2025, one of our me and Kyle's big goals to really grow our kids program into a well-oiled machine that works well, when it comes to structure and education purposes, but then also from a competition team perspective.
Yeah.
So building those, there's kind of like two different routes, the self-defense route and then more of the sport.
Yeah.
Allowing kids to pursue it as a
the
sport.
team. Yeah.
So we're growing it in different ways.
Yeah,
And
that's cool. Do you guys ever do like little in-house tournaments for the
no,
kids
that's what
here?
we want.
for kids.
So
we've done it for the adults. Yeah.
think about it for the kids. I only
Yeah.
say that because we just did my son's, like I said, first one December 7th.
It was fun, huh?
It was a Saturday again. His first one. I had more anxiety watching him than I do like when I'm doing like a competition.
Sure, yeah.
I'm just like if I lose, I'm like, I'm not going to cry, but I'm like, oh God.
I've seen
if he
parents
loses-
cry. Yeah.
Like if he loses, like I was like,
I feel their emotions.
I felt like when he came over and like was crying, he felt so defeated. Like my eyes started to water a little bit, and I'm just like, I felt so bad because I know,
good though.
I know how hard he tried.
Yeah. But that's
And,
so good. It's so good for your kids. For anyone who's listening who's a parent who is scared of that, it's like it's so good for them to learn how to lose well, to learn how to win.
And it sounds like he lost well. He didn't freak out cry.
No,
he went in the corner and
he didn't understand why he lost. So he lost 4-6, and none of the parents were really like talking to their kids as they were going. I'm like, all right, Luke, don't be that guy. Just,
Like you don't want to overteach, right?
But then like he was
kill him.
yes.
Yeah.
Take him out.
Choke him out.
Choke him out.
That's my
never
kid.
good.
Yes.
I've had to tell parents like chill out.
But I wasn't like getting like loud, but I could tell because I knew the score like in my head, and I'm like, all right, there's 30 seconds left, and I'm like, damn it, I'm like, come on,
He's gonna lose
buddy.
by 2.
Like, I'm like, come on, buddy, and he thought he won. He was like
Oh,
fist
man.
pumping when he got up, and I was just like,
Is it gonna go good?
Hate to break it to him. That's funny. No, he's a great kid. He was, he was here with your test, and
Yeah.
he like wanted to watch.
I'm
you.
gonna try to get him over here.
Oh yeah, he's welcome
tomorrow.
to come.
What time's the kids?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. Okay.
Yeah, bring him in.
That'd be
It'd fun.
amazing. Yeah, bring him by. Really
That'd
cool.
be a good time.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, he can train too. And he looked over and he moved his eyebrows like this. And then he was ready to get down.
Ready
and
for
roll.
war. Yeah.
He's a goof.
I'll roll with him tomorrow.
My daughter really wants to get into it too.
How old is she?
She's 6. She just got moved up to level 1 in gymnastics. She's a freak.
That's awesome.
She can like flip over the bar like 3. She can do like
gymnastics is the best overall athleticism game for kid to get involved in. If someone asked me like what else should they do if they like grappling and jiu-jitsu and all this stuff for their kid and they wanted something else, I would say gymnastics is one of the best.
And
she's phenomenal.
And I have to say too, the kid who's sat on the sideline with a sibling wanting to do it and like wanting to, when that kid comes out and gets to do class, they are always like so passionate. Yeah. Honestly, most of the time they're like really disciplined because like they see everyone else being disciplined. They've seen kids get in trouble and like it's. So
you're saying the younger sibling is
like
usually
you saw Gabby. How can you see her like in a little gi?
Oh yeah, she'd be adorable.
I've had just like 2 or 3 experience I can think of specifically where like 3 or 4 like maybe like 5 or 6 year old and their like 8-year-old brother is training and they want to get out there and their parents are like, I'm gonna hold them back for a little bit, and then when they do get to go out there, they're like the best students I've ever had. So
that's cool. Yeah, she'll do great.
Yeah. But
well, she's always if she's welcome too. She's young, I know, but if she wants to hang out tomorrow and jump on the mat and move around.
Yeah. I feel so bad like as a parent. I know this is going off on a tangent, but I'm like, my son does, he plays baseball. I played baseball. I can teach him that. Jiu-jitsu, I can help him with that. Like my daughter does gymnastics. I'm like, Dad can't
Squeeze.
do it. Dad can't do a cartwheel. I can help
but
you.
you can be supportive.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's better, honestly, than the dad or the mom who is the expert.
Yeah.
Or who maybe isn't even the expert, but like acts like it. You know?
Let me tell you, I probably wouldn't want to go to you for my math homework. Dad, stop.
He's actually an expert.
Yeah. Well, that's bad. So like my son he's in 2nd grade and he's almost through the 5th grade math curriculum.
Wow.
Because I'll do homework with him. Like he's doing like pre-algebra type work, like 2x plus 5 equals 30.
Yep.
Figure out what x is.
Oh man.
Like he's doing that.
I'm in trouble.
He's doing that kind of stuff. But I
well, that's the benefit of having a smart dad.
My wife's like, he still needs to know how to read. I'm like, hey, he can. Like,
I mean, does
like,
he? He can code.
Yeah. I'm like, he's probably, so he's in 2nd grade, so he's probably at like a 3rd grade reading level, but like his math is just
off the charts.
Yeah, like off the charts. But
that's in the genes too.
I know.
It's in the blood.
But with coaching, it's funny that I had to take myself away from my son's baseball. So I was the head coach for his baseball team for the first 2 years. I was so nice to everybody else's kid. Like if it's your kid, I'd be like, I'm like, good job, Billy, you got it. Like my voice, I'm like, why am I talking like that?
Because you feel bad.
Like,
you don't want to yell at someone.
you want to like you.
Or like I'm pitching and I'm like,
But then your own
all right,
kid's
Joey.
like,
All right,
all right.
Joey. Yeah, you got one more, buddy. Oh, he goes, hey, good try. I'll walk over there and like rub him on the back and like I'll throw one to Ben and he'll miss it. I'm like, come on, hit the ball.
Why aren't you listening to me doing?
Yeah,
So I was like,
I really don't think that it's very easy to be a dad coach.
Oh yeah. It's got to be.
I guess it's easy, but
I don't like who I am when I'm
I guess
coaching my own kid.
It's not easy to do it well and to still have a good father-son relationship. It's very rare that works out well. Usually it doesn't. For anyone who knows,
Yeah.
it usually doesn't end up very well. It's usually pretty stressful, especially if they get a little bit older. I'm talking about like high school.
Yeah, it's hard to think about. Yeah, I mean, like a good.
You don't hear very many good stories.
Yeah.
It's bad stories.
Yeah.
And for anyone who's got a good story, good. I'm happy for you.
Yeah, I mean,
You
really
were able to balance being a father and being a coach, because those are two roles that usually it's better to, like my brother even was wise enough to know that, and he kind of like, he still is the coach, wrestling coach to my nephews, but he would have someone else coach them during matches most of the time. And that I think they've evolved as they gotten older, and it's been better for them to do it. But he knew like there's gonna be times where it's like it's better to them hear it not from their dad. Hear it from a coach.
Yes.
They're more receptive certain times, because you're hearing it. My dad, I'm thinking, oh no, dad's yelling at me. No, dad's not yelling at you. The coach is yelling at you. And a coach can yell at you, and it's not personal.
Yes, I mean it's different. Like people say, like you have like your mother who teaches you. There's a mother role and a father role. Sometimes so like the same thing. Like you would think your dad role is very similar to your coach's role, but those are different things. Those are definitely different.
So it takes a very smart kid. Or a very intelligent, emotionally intelligent kid to separate that, and it's hard for them to do.
Yeah, and especially when you have kids, like and hopefully you
someday
have some.
Me and Kyle are thinking about adopting.
That's all we can handle.
No, I definitely want kids. I look up to you, man. Well done. You got a great family. I definitely would love that someday. It seems like you're very happy with it. It's awesome.
Well, no, all I was going to say is like having somebody like my wife is so different than me. Like I'm more extroverted, high energy, again, mostly Italian. So usually a lot of like loud noises. Like if the kids are acting up, I got about 5 minutes in me before I'm like, knock it off.
Yeah.
I'm not like hitting them, but I'll start hollering way before she does. And she's really,
it's good to have the patient mother.
She's the calm.
Yes.
She's a very calm. She's Filipino. She's very chill. She's very calm. And sometimes I'll just look at her. I'm like, babe, I can't, you don't want me to respond to this. I'm like, you got it. And she's like, good. She's like, I'm glad you did that, because instead of you yelling, you just kind of took 5 minutes to yourself.
Yeah.
And I know you were asking me, like, we were texting, what I like about jiu-jitsu. And I kind of went into that a little bit, but it's almost like knowing how to stay calm when things are hard, like you're in trouble or someone's on your back and you're like, crap, I already lost. He's going to choke me out. I'm done. But not kind of having that negative.
Yeah. What's that word called? It's like catastrophizing. Oh, what's the word? Catastrophe. To take a catastrophe.
Yeah. Catastrophizing.
Is that the word?
I've never heard of that before.
I'm an accounting professor, not an English. So.
Yeah.
I was just
catastrophize.
Okay.
Is like when you are someone who, as soon as something bad happens, you're like, oh, it's over. Like someone takes your back.
Yes.
Castricize?
No, you don't want to castrate.
But anyway.
That is a skill that I think a lot of people struggle with. It's like as soon as if something bad happens, they just go right into the worst case scenario.
Yeah. I
think jiu-jitsu does teach you that. Does teach you to just buy your time a little bit.
Yeah, maybe that's why I took to jiu-jitsu. I've always been like that with stuff. Like I'm the exact opposite of like catastrophe stuff. Like I remember like every time you'd be somewhere and someone would like I lost my phone and start like freaking out about it. My mentality would be like,
find it.
Well, I'd always just be like, you lost it here, so it's here. I mean, it can't be that far. We're still here. It's like, it's not a big. Like, I'm gonna have to get a new phone. I'm gonna have my new phone plan. I'm like, it's not a big deal.
That does definitely show for your style of jiu-jitsu.
I'm trying to get there. I'm trying to get there. My wife said you've gotten better over the years, but that was me like, where's my phone?
Yes.
The panic sets in and like
She's like,
Give me your phone. I got to get a new one now. Yeah.
She's like, it's not a big deal. You just get another phone. I'm like, no, it's out there. Someone's gonna hack into it, and
Now we don't have a house, and then next thing you know,
Yeah, so that I think that skill being able to like cut the string of like worry sooner and be like, okay, everything's gonna be all right. Just take a breath, hold on. That's what you do in jiu-jitsu if you're smart, right? Is you just solve this problem,
and it kind of goes like,
don't let it get worse.
Like you just said, like you were gonna say it first, like everything's gonna be all right, and it's like you kind of learned with jiu-jitsu too, like sometimes, like you said, like sometimes someone takes your back and you go, I'm gonna be calm, I'm gonna find my way out of this, and like sometimes you don't, and it's like either way, freaking out would not have been the route.
Best out, yeah.
Yes, it's like, and freaking out now after it when it went really bad is not the route either. It's like that. It really teaches you that like just stay chill, man.
Just tap out.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay to tap out to this one. Let's move to the next
it's
one.
like an important skill, you know.
That's funny. Yeah, no, I think if I was to ask you that question, because we do like to ask that, like, for jiu-jitsu into your rest of your life, and it could be for work related too, or it could be with your kids, like you're saying, if being able to handle high stress or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
I really think if people looked at jiu-jitsu as more of a vehicle for like helping other parts of their life, they might actually understand jiu-jitsu more. Some people maybe not. Maybe they rather not bring their life into it and just like separate it. But I really think that there's an avenue for jiu-jitsu when it comes to problem solving, and maybe it's even just anxiousness and being able to deal with stress. That everyone, if you haven't thought of jiu-jitsu as a skill to help you with those problems in life, I think you're missing out on something, because jiu-jitsu can really help with that. I know that's helped me when things feel like they're crashing down. Like, okay, what would I do if this is a jiu-jitsu match in my mind? How am I going to handle this? Okay, I'm going to take a moment. Maybe I do nothing for a second and things start to get better. Or I got to make some action right now, or it's going to get a lot worse.
Yep.
And I find that phone. Whatever it might be. It's just funny. So if you have any advice for people, or how jiu-jitsu might help, how jiu-jitsu has helped you, and it's great to hear.
Yeah, jiu-jitsu has definitely helped me through all phases of my life. Whether, I told you I started when I was a student in college and navigating college and tests and doing all that stuff. Jiu-jitsu for me was just always the place that I can go to, or go and train. And either maybe one day it was, hey, I'm stressed out, I'm going to go get some energy out and just roll around on the mats, or like, hey, I feel like I've kind of I'm feeling a little discouraged with school, I'm kind of losing my focus a little bit, I'm going to hop back into jiu-jitsu and kind of, I don't know, I don't know how to explain it, but it just kind of helped me like realign everything. So like when things seemed kind of chaotic, it just helped me slow things down, because you can't be a spaz in jiu-jitsu and be good. Okay, you have to.
It's a hard skill to do. Some people can do it.
Yeah.
Spaz enough.
Yeah.
Like I said, I felt great yesterday when we were doing our little like hand fighting, like all that flow stuff, and then like the last 15 minutes when we were doing like the rolling stuff, it's like, all right, here we go, and then I just felt my body kind of like tense up a little bit, and I'm like, come on, man,
start a cramp.
Yeah, there's the cramp.
But it's very right. It's hard to. Jiu-jitsu is you have to be so hyper focused on what you're doing that like all your other stresses in life, they just go. I used to tell people all the time, like when I used to have I used to work at the post office for a very long time. So like when I had a very stressful life, when I would go and train after, I'd be so stressed going into the gym, getting there. And then, but there'd be this, I would say the best time of the day would be like that 5-minute walk from the gym, like to my car, like nothing mattered in my life. I had like blown out all my energy. I didn't think about, nothing could stress me out for that. And like get in the car, start driving home and going like, I got to get home quick so I get to bed and go to work, start creeping back in. But you nailed it perfectly. I mean, that's exactly what it's been for me. That's what it's always been for me. That's why, I've been looking forward to getting back in here and training with you guys again and doing this test with Joey for like the last like couple months, and just kind of like the mindset that I've been in over the last couple months, like knowing that it was coming up, it's just, it kind of put me like in a better mood, I guess, like just something to look forward to. And yeah.
Well, it's not over, man.
I know.
You got more in the tank.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, I got through. What do they always call it? The blue belt blues.
Oh yeah, blue belt is
like,
hard.
I watched this YouTube meme where it was like this guy, he got his blue belt and then he pulled up the piece of paper and it said like, cancellation notice, and he like
Yeah.
he ran over to the front desk and like threw it.
He's gone. Yep.
He was like, "Got my blue belt. I'm done. I'm done."
You're a very rare.
The one I thought he was going to
Statistically-
describe is like the one the guy ties his blue belt on, and then his friend looks at him, and he slowly just starts
disappears, yeah.
disappearing. He just like fades away. No, yeah, he just becomes nothing. Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to think about. Statistically, it's sad to think about like how many people get their blue belt and then don't get their purple belt, or how many people, will never get their black belt who seemed so like hardcore.
Yes.
They seem so into it. It's like, oh yeah, that guy, but then they just, like anything that's what I was, again, just to draw it back to the idea of instant gratification and, the entitlement stuff that we were talking about earlier. It's, jiu-jitsu is the ultimate weeding out process of that, because you just won't, there is no fast forward button.
Yeah.
You can't just like download this stuff into your brain instantly.
Yeah, that's a weird thing about it, right? It's like, because once you've learned something, you didn't learn. Like we said, you didn't learn it. It's going to take you so much time to really be able to like.
So I hope you appreciate the journey of it, and I know it was a long blue belt to purple belt process.
Hopefully it's not that long to
I'm really,
brown.
I'm really impressed by that. That's super.
They just stuck with it.
Yeah, I don't know how to express it. Like, that's just really cool to stick with it that long at one belt and not let it throw you off to quit. So
because
really,
a lot of
really
people
cool.
say, I'll just be a blue belt forever.
It may be. There was times where I was definitely depressed about it. My wife asked me. She's watched me over the last year. She's watched me kind of like train at the gym, but probably never like that intense. Like I'll help like do stuff with the kids or like go in the adult class, but I'm not like kind of going balls to the wall, like trying to roll and stuff like that. So that was probably like her first time really seeing that.
Seeing you struggle, seeing you sweat.
She goes, that was kind of cool to see you. She's like, in that third round, to see you like gassed, like you were done.
But you didn't quit.
She's like, I've never seen you like that before. So she's like, it was
well, I promise you, and I hope she knows this, but she should be proud that you didn't quit.
Yeah.
Because it's really easy to get gassed out and just be like,
give me a minute.
Hold on. And I was like, nope, you got to keep going.
I was like,
I wasn't going to let you.
When my calf hurt, I'm like, okay, I'm like, come on. I'm like, go away. I wanted that to go away, and it did. But I'm like, okay, don't milk this. I'm like, come on.
I was like, I don't care, man. Just hold half guard. Cry about it later. I don't care. It was fun. So, that's awesome that your wife was here for it. That's why I was glad we got to do it. And your family was here.
Yeah.
So goals for jiu-jitsu then. Now that you're a purple belt, you got your kid training. It sounds like you have a good setup back home. Hopefully we can keep it going.
Yeah, we have a good setup. I definitely want to send you guys, and I'd like to hear your thoughts too. Again, I won't talk about the gyms specifically on the podcast, but I kind of wanted to get Joey's thoughts on it, and hopefully we can bring you down. Maybe we can bring you guys both down to the gym. I would love for them to be exposed to kind of the styles of jiu-jitsu, and just to kind of see things from a different way than just the big brute. Let's just take you down and sit on you, kind of style. But yeah, I would love to kind of get you guys down there. But I want to make sure that we're in the best school that we can be down there. Again, I know we have like some other really good Gracie gyms like over in St. Louis, but it's just kind of far and it's tough to do. Like Ben's class.
What town are you in? Are you in St. Louis?
O'Fallon, Illinois. It's about 30 minutes east of St. Louis.
Yeah.
Every time I say
O'Fallon,
you drive there all the time.
Yeah. O'Fallon. My half siblings live in St. Louis.
Oh, okay.
So, but O'Fallon, Illinois is like the southern tip of the point is the southern tip of
so
Illinois.
You still live in Illinois?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
wasn't that far then.
But south, like that area of Illinois, that's where you get like how people complain about like taxes and stuff in Illinois. That's where you're in like I heard though, you're in like a good area, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty, You're almost like out of Illinois technically,
Cool.
Yeah. But I was like, everything's cheaper there though. Everything. Like I don't. The only reason I say this is because my wife will get mad at me sometimes if I ask like a family member or a friend about it. But I'll be like, hey, how much was your house? She's like, don't ask that. I'm like, it's public information. You can Google. you can Google my address right now.
I'm going on Zillow right now.
It'll show you. But
I'm like, funny.
I'm like, we got our house. It's 3,300 square feet. It's a ranch, and it was $360,000.
Nice.
Like a 3,300 square foot like house up here.
Yeah.
Like
St.
right now, is what I'm saying is probably
$750,000.
$700,000. So yeah, just things are cheaper down there, and we've talked about coming back up here, but yeah, I'm just trying to find it.
And your family still lives out here. That's why.
My dad does a good job of coming down and
cool.
visiting.
That's great.
But I'm trying to find a gym down there that I feel. I know I'm not going to find anything like this down there, but
well, you never know, man. I think I said that to you too. I think the smartest thing for you to do is to to train at different places. Like,
feel them
as
out.
much as you can, go, go cross train and, get to know, make a community for yourself that you get to know people and, and down the road, who knows? Maybe you start your own school. You'll start the St. Louis school.
Yeah.
Right. It'd be awesome. We'll get you your black belt. You start your own school. I'll help you.
We can call it like the not
Dr. Luke's
not so real movement, fake movement.
Yeah, it could be Dr. Luke's
accounting and martial arts.
MA.
We'll do your taxes.
We'll do your taxes and choke you out when you're done.
Dude, that's clever.
I mean, not a bad idea.
It's not a bad idea. If I'm being honest, that might be something original right there.
Open mat. Luke's is in there doing taxes while everyone's rolling, like the scene in Shawshank. Everyone's lined up.
Hey kids, you guys, next 15 minutes, you guys roll around. I'm gonna do your dad's tax return real quick.
I'm telling you, it'll be popular.
Hey.
Or everyone will hate you.
You got me again. He screwed me over. Yeah.
Dude, that's you as an accountant. You're always the bad guy. That's part of the reason. Honestly.
Or the good, like you're the hero, right? And then, or you're the guy like, man, this guy screwed me. He's not helping.
That's part of the reason why I didn't want to be an accountant anymore. Is because we would literally go in and audit places, and I swear to God, you would hear, "Crap, the auditors are here."
You're like the bad guy.
I'm like, we're standing right here. Like, can you whisper that or something like that? Like, crap, the auditors are here. Or I'm like, hey Joey, I did your tax return. I got you. You got $5,000. Oh, well, last year I got $15,000. This is horseshit. I'm like, geez, I thought you were gonna be happy, and you're mad at me.
It all stresses me out. I'll tell you, anything with numbers makes me anxious. I hate it.
Oh man!
So I don't know how you did it.
The person walking in and them going like the auditors are here though. I mean, don't you immediately just go like, we'll just call the cops? Like this is not good.
Clearly they're doing something.
Yeah, something bad. Burn the paper. Shred it.
I mean, right? Because like most of the time, like if you're auditing a place, every place, even if they're not doing something wrong, they're messing stuff up. It's hard to keep track of all your shit, you know. So like they're going to be off a little bit, but that's why they're getting audited. You know, if they're nervous about the auditor, now there's a serious problem.
Yeah, that's true. Or you think about places that have like a lot of inventory, right? So like let's say they have 100 boxes and it's up on a shelf that's like 100 feet tall. Some people will like let's say it looks like this, right? Because having more inventory, it looks good. You have more assets on your book, so it looks good for them. But some places will take like boxes and just make a border around it, right? And then have nothing in the middle. And you're like, okay, you're counting them. You're like, okay, there's 20, 30, 40. And then there's based on...
It's hollow. There's
so there's probably 180 there. And you're like, no, really, there's just the 40 on the outside. So it's like people are...
That was one of the big ones. My accounting teacher taught us, he taught us about Enron. And then I forgot what businesses was, but like they sold like, let's say they sold like, these recorders. And before they did their stock exchange, they had their warehouse with all their recorders in there and they brought these people in. And like the next month they brought everyone in. They're like, look at our warehouse now, and all the things were gone. So then everyone invested in the company, and then like months later they looked in, they just bought another warehouse and moved all their product to the other warehouse. And they were trying to be like, we didn't tell them we sold it. We just said,
we're
we just said it's gone.
Yeah, we just moved it. I mean, so
we're great at moving product.
Yep.
That's funny.
Man.
Yeah, no, I think it's really great, man. I'm glad you came out here. I'm glad you had fun yesterday.
Yeah.
I hope that jiu-jitsu is still part of your life another 10 years from now. Maybe
when I'm 60, I'll have my black belt.
You'll have your black belt. Your kid will be a black belt.
Yeah.
That's a good time to earn it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's tough. I know you were kind of driving at like what I definitely plan to keep training. I definitely, like I said, took too much time off there just while life was trying to kind of settle and figure itself out. But yeah, man, it's tough. The time thing is tough. So like my son, they do the one that we pay for. It's Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We pay for the twice a week for him, and the class is at 5:00. So like I have to leave work at like, it's not a big deal because they're really flexible. Most people at my work are gone by like 2, 3 o'clock anyway. But I have to leave at 3:00. Let's say like my wife's working late. I gotta leave at 3:00. I'm home at 3:45. It's a little bit of a hike. Like I have to pick him up, go home, got to throw some kind of food in him real quick before we go. And then we're like scrambling like to get over to
find your gi, find the belt.
Yeah.
Where'd you put your belt?
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah. So
he's laying out, he's half dressed. Get dressed. What are you doing?
Yeah. But no, sometimes it's just, I know you always say like no excuses and I agree with that too. But yeah, sometimes it's just tough.
Oh yeah,
like the timing of stuff, and then it's like, okay, crap. Ben's got jiu-jitsu, but then Gabby's got like gymnastics. Like, okay, I can't be a total
balance,
I can't be an asshole. I got to go to Gabby's gymnastics once in a while too, and for and Betsy could take Ben to jiu-jitsu, but that means that I can't train then that that day.
Yeah.
It's just like a big balancing act. But the last thing that I wanted to say, you guys can finish doing doing your thing too. But there's this Rocky quote. Have you guys seen the fifth, the last Rocky Balboa?
Oh, come on.
I
Come
actually-
on now.
I
You're
actually-
telling me. You're asking me, have I seen Rocky? I've seen every Rocky.
So
a
you're
million
saying
times.
Balboa,
Yeah.
Rocky
Okay.
Balboa. That would
was
be
that-
the
Yeah.
one where he has the exhibition with the guy. We talking about
What
that
are you
one?
talking about, Kyle?
Yeah.
Exhibition with the guy. You talking about fighting in the
Oh.
street?
No,
Yeah,
no, where he fights.
Yeah.
No, the
You're
one.
talking about when he fights
And-
Antonio Tarver?
Yes,
and
we
he
fought
loses.
Tarver. Yeah, it was supposed to be an expedition.
And
Yeah.
then he loses. But,
Yes.
but,
It was
but-
exactly
but
what
he
just
goes-
happened with Mike
I thought
Tyson.
you were talking about
Yeah.
Tommy Gunn out in the street.
No, yeah.
Like, ain't no exhibition.
I know the
This
Tommy.
is the street.
I know Tommy Gunn.
That's Rocky 5.
Yeah.
That actor died. That Tommy Gunn. guy.
That's
Yeah.
he was a real boxer. He had
Yeah.
AIDS.
Yeah,
Yeah. Crazy story for anyone who wants to look up
Tommy Morrison. Yeah.
Crazy story.
One of the worst
Lot-
knockouts ever too. He got knocked out real bad once.
by
Who was that? Like got
Tony?
He got caught in the ropes.
Is it James Tony? I don't remember. But
Yeah, someone knocked him out real bad.
he-
Yeah.
I mean, he knew he had AIDS and lied about it for a long time.
Yeah.
Got a lot of people
Yeah.
infected.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But no, but
that's
no.
the story
Tell
for
me
another
about-
day.
Tell me about the Rocky.
No. Going from AIDS to the Rocky.
Yeah, I love Rocky.
Yeah,
So I could go all
Look how
day.
excited.
So I actually, I'm not kidding. I actually have this quote in my office. It's a really long quote, and I'm sure none of my students read it. And I actually have this quote.
Can you do it like Rocky? Can you do the voice?
No.
Is
No.
it
no.
sunshine? Is
He
it
doesn't do-
sunshine and rainbows? Is that what we're getting at?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. When he's talking to his son outside, and this is kind of like halfway through the quote, but he says, it's not about how hard you hit; it's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. And then he says that's how winning is done. Now if you know what you're worth, then go out and get what you're worth, but you have to be willing to take the hits and not sitting there pointing your fingers at him or her and saying that you're not where you want to be because of anybody else. Cowards do that, and that's not that ain't you.
That ain't
You're better than that.
Oh,
It's just-
man. I'm getting pumped up just thinking about it.
It's just a really
We're gonna roll again after this.
Oh, man.
it's just a really awesome quote, and it was the perfect quote for him to say, because that was like the whole premise of Rocky, right? He just kept getting his ass kicked movie after movie, fight after fight, and he just kept getting up, and that's so true about life and jiu-jitsu, and yeah, I really like that quote a lot.
Yeah, man.
And I'm mostly Italian, and Rocky.
I think you did justice to. You did well. Yeah, man. That's it is everything about jiu-jitsu, and everything we've been talking about. This whole talk was like basically the self gratification or the delayed gratification and all that. That's what it is. It's like jiu-jitsu is like you're just taking hits and you're
The whole time.
Can you just stick to this long enough? And before you know it, now you are that guy who you looked up to. And you're like, man, that guy was good.
How long?
You are that guy.
How long can I get smashed in half guard before I catch a leg lock?
Yeah,
That's awesome, man. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Any last goals, ideas, anything else, man?
No, my goals for 2025, I know you guys talked about,
He wants to do another pro grappling show. He wants to do
Really?
No.
Okay, I was excited for you. That's cool.
No, I definitely, I don't know if I'll be confident enough to compete in 2025, because I really want to, it'd be a different story. Like if I was here and being able to train with you guys, like at this level, I just feel like the level of commitment and training that is kind of down by me. It's tough to find people who are really committed, but I would definitely like to keep at it pretty hard in 2025, more than I have in previous years, and
Nice.
try to get up here.
Hopefully this
try
sparks
to
you.
get up here a lot during the summer.
That's
Yeah.
one of my goals. I hope this weekend sparks that interest and allows you to, when those days are a little bit tougher, give you that little motivation.
Yeah.
When it would be easier not to go and train, when you have a chance to train, and life gets in the way in good ways too. You going to see your daughter do gymnastics is a great reason not to go train.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? It could be there's good reasons and then there's the reasons of like,
And I'm
I
sure
wanna watch
you
a
don't.
movie,
I'm sure you don't.
I'm
have
gonna
a lot
watch
of
Rocky
them.
Balboa again.
That's what I'm saying. From hearing what you're saying, I'm sure you don't have a lot of these where you decide not to go.
Yeah.
It sounds like if you have
it's
the
life.
time, you go.
But that's great, man. That's a good thing.
And that's what you want. For the people who have ever just decided not to go, it's like life will decide the days you can't go for you. So
don't do it for it,
need don't give it the extra ones, because
Yeah.
sometimes you're gonna have to take your daughter. Sometimes you're gonna have to stay late at work.
Those days when you wanted to go and you can't.
Yep.
You hate to do the days that you could and
You
didn't.
decided
Yeah.
not to.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. But I definitely want to get up here
Yeah, and
like
hopefully
a lot this summer.
Hopefully, the online academy is something that
Yeah.
you can take advantage of, and something we just released this weekend.
Yeah.
On Friday, we
I think that's
released it.
awesome.
I mean, positive reviews from everybody,
Yeah,
Joe.
you
Seriously,
use it?
you put a great amount of work into it, man.
There's
It looks
a lot of
amazing.
work.
Yeah.
and we're going to work a lot more on it. We're going to add a lot more content. Right now, it's just the recorded classes, but me and Kyle are going to do a bunch of cool stuff for it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But this will
or-
give you something to you can be able to study what we're working on and do it at home or work with other people.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. Here, more QR codes.
Yeah.
So get QR codes for the training academy. Like you can just put it like
Boom.
like parents are sitting here, like throw it on there and
So you love the QR codes. Any other advice for me?
no
QR codes. I'm gonna throw them everywhere.
I just
man.
know. I just know people are.
I
Late.
actually have a tattoo of a kid.
Yeah. I just know how lazy people are. If you're like, hey, go to realmovementmma.com.
If they have to
they're
type
like,
it in, they're done.
But if they're sitting here, the parents are sitting here playing around on their phones anyway, and they can just go beep, boom, like boom.
Yeah, I got these for the Google reviews. I got that thing, which is a QR code.
Oh, yeah,
it's actually
I
a
see it.
tap, so you can just tap it.
I see it.
So those are good. And then right above one of the sign up sheets, we have one for people doing their trial.
Yeah.
And like, that's always, it's a funny thing where
works.
like,
People use it.
if I hand someone an iPad to like put other information in, it's
Yeah.
just like when they can do it on their phone,
love their
we've all,
phone.
it's just so easy to, so that's a really cool.
So QR codes, way of the future. Anything else?
No, I saw your.
If you use QR codes, you're done.
I saw your car out there. Actually, she goes. My wife goes, "Is that Joey's Jeep?" I'm like, "I don't know what Joey's."
It's got a sticker on it.
I'm like, it had the two little stickers.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's Joey's.
Yep.
I've seen some places that will have they're not QR codes, but it'll have like. So I told you I have no social media, but it'll have like at Real Move, like just little like
Ways to follow it,
your Instagram. Because hey, if you can get 100 extra followers
It
a
makes
year,
a big difference.
just from people sitting behind you at a red light.
Yes.
It's like, what the hell is this guy about?
Yeah, I should wrap the whole car.
Yeah.
Wrap it all green.
Get a Tesla truck and just have like QR codes.
Yeah. We'll do the Cybertruck.
Your face like on the hood.
Kyle leg locking someone. Yeah, we could get weird with it. We'll get the promo car. Yeah, no, we have a lot of plans for the next year. So we're excited from a business standpoint, which is your field. It's like, money and numbers and it's all it's the stuff that I don't want to do, but we got to do in order to stick with the passion that we love.
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu is the easy stuff. It'd be easy just to show up every day and do jiu-jitsu, but in order to keep the doors open, there's some work that
Some
we need
business that has to be done. Yeah.
Well, I think it's awesome, and don't cut yourself short on everything that you've done, because
thanks, man.
look up this. I don't know all the numbers, but look up the percentage of companies that fail after a year, 2 years, 3 or 5 years, and I think usually by like 5 years, like 99% of companies are dead or they run out of money. So
Shoot, we got one here.
We got one more.
Oh no!
So just keep doing what you guys are doing. It sounds like you've had pretty considerable or steady growth, over the 4 years. Just keep doing it, and it's gonna be fun to watch you guys kind of grow and build. And so hopefully everything kind of works out, and it'll be fun to kind of.
Well, you're a part of it now.
Yeah,
I know.
Officially, you're in the crew.
Yeah.
You're a purple belt now.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it, and thanks. Yeah, thanks for yesterday. It was awesome, and thanks for being patient. I know. It's tough. I'm like in my brain. I'm like, I'm not really sure what Joey's like expecting of me, because he hasn't seen me in so long. So just try to not be.
I think you did awesome.
Be a total jackass.
No, you did great. And it was good.
No.
Thanks again to Ross. Shout out Ross for coming in and
thanks,
he's
Ross.
prepping for his purple belt, so it was like he was all about it.
He's sneaking his little tricks.
Yeah.
I was secretly hoping that you were going to give me like a beginner, like we bring in somebody in like a beginner like white belt, so I can just look like a badass.
And Ross was heavy.
Ross, big boy.
You give me Ross, who was like just his same level as me, who's like heavier. I'm like, oh shit. All right.
Yeah, no, it was perfect.
That's a perfect test.
You did great, man. So congrats again. Come visit anytime during the summer.
Yeah, I will.
Awesome.
Well, thanks,
Kyle,
guys.
anything else, buddy?
No, this was awesome. Thanks for joining us, Luke. Really nice getting to see you again.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
Been a good while. Well,
Too long.
thank you everybody for joining us. This has been episode 42 of the Keep It Rollin podcast, and we will see you guys next week.